Gang, mate, welcome to Friday Facts 314. We've got 17 stable and I've got a stable mojo with me. Hey, mate.
Yeah, no, right, yes, again.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good try with the bogan. It's not quite bogan enough. And for those that aren't Australian, bogan is like our version of a redneck.
What do you mean there's no bogan enough?
You've done better. You've done better on stream. So,
I know, I can't do it.
yeah, it's too late.
It's too late at night.
Too late at night. So, we've got a stable version of 17. So, welcome everybody who's been playing the Steam version for I don't know how long, didn't join the betas, and hasn't been playing the new version of Factorio for 6 months
at least?
Yeah, 6 months at least. So, turns out this version of Friday Facts is the Pi Friday Facts, i.e. 314, which only works if you're an American. Therefore, it wouldn't be the Pi Friday Facts, but, okay, we'll let that one slide. And they didn't do anything. But they also didn't do anything for the 6 years of Friday Facts either, so I guess you can let the Pi Friday Facts slide?
They're holding out for Tau.
Okay. So, we had the stable version of 17 coming out. It came out on Tuesday, and everything went smoothly. No crashes, no avalanche crashes, only a handful of technical support emails about updating video drivers, which I have no idea. Didn't they change something with Mac and video?
Remember.
Yeah. And then we've got
Wait, it does have a new renderer, doesn't it?
It does have a new renderer,
16?
but no, 17 is a new renderer and new GUI. But I thought it only affect Macs. I think. I don't know. It's been so long.
It has. I can't remember which one it was, which sent my game to 1 FPS.
It was
16 or 17.
It was 17 unreleased. It was a special Mojo edition.
Was that the graphics test?
Yeah, it was one of the graphics tests. And I've just been yelled at in Discord that we need to remember the which is too late for. But yeah, we've got this pretty backdrop image, which any Factorio player will complain who the hell puts stone on the same belt as copper. And
plastic on the same belt as
plastic and sulfur. I can sort of maybe understand, but I can't understand why the chem plant is making steam with plastic and sulfur at all. I don't get that one. And I don't understand why they can mix fluids and have the chem plant hook up to water where we can't.
The refinery hooked up to water.
Yeah, the refinery. Yeah,
I think the real pedant is the person who put biters on the plastic and sulfur belt as well.
Well, yeah, you probably shouldn't put biters on your belts, but yeah. And I'm just looking at this disconnected pipe on the left-hand side. It looks like something went really wrong with that pipe.
Oh, he's been eaten, yeah.
It just looks like a graphical glitch. Anyway, so yeah, we've got a nice pretty picture, which is, I believe, the new background for the Steam page and all sorts of things. So they've done a good update and thoroughly covered their bases and given us pretty new images here, there, and everywhere.
Gotta have some pretty images, even if it has no real basis with the actual, it doesn't in any way reflect actual game mechanics.
Yeah, and I think that was one of my complaints beforehand. Is like just take a bit of a working factory that is this messy and this much going on, and just make sure it all makes sense. Like, obviously, everybody at Woob, I assume, plays the game in some way, shape, or form, and obviously knows that you can't hook up water to a refinery. Like, if it just happened to be, what's the middle pipe? Light oil, nobody could complain. If the chem plant output, I don't know, anything, sulfuric acid, and was coloured with the sulfuric acid coloured, which I believe is yellow.
Something like that.
And red smoke, and I have no idea what's in the little window, because although I'm playing with the new chem plants, I have the alt mode on, so I can't see the pretty little window. The
real question is, why is the steam pipes for the turbine and the heat exchanger built on top of a broken salt? Is it nuclear greater than solar? Is a hidden message there?
Obviously a hidden message. Look, after building, I think it's 1 point something million solar panels, actually, I have Factorio running.
Why would you even build that many solar panels?
It's alright, my Factorio has crashed from the looks of it. It's not responding.
Oh, good.
Oh, No, it's definitely not responding.
It's not likely to have crashed. It's just really, really busy thinking about something.
Well, I hit escape 6 hours ago, so who knows.
Yeah, it's doing some intensive thinking.
Probably. So, the new update and what this Friday Facts is actually about. So, apart from stable, essentially no developed work has happened this week. Nearly everybody is on vacation still, and who's actually running this? I want to say V?
Probably
No,
cloning.
Cloning.
Usually writes these.
I'm writing this as I sit in the airport waiting to fly to London for a wedding. We're hoping it started next week with all the relaxation over and the pressure stable off our shoulders. We'll get cracking on the next update with renewed energy, unless they keep playing WoW Classic, and then they can make more press articles.
The fake PC gamer.
Yeah. So they are hoping for some changes between going forward with the new development cycle. So before now, they've always done the whole team on development for a few months, and then the whole team on bug fixing for a few months, and they're always doing one or the other. And what they're actually planning to do going forward is have lots of smaller releases, throwing in content in each release, and then sort of split the team in half. So you'll have Team A that's working on content, it goes into release, and then Team A will move over to bug fixing. Meanwhile, Team B will go on to writing some sort of features for the next release. And then when they add
So they alternate
yeah,
between bug fixing and content releases.
Yeah.
It does beg the question, do they fix the bugs related to their own releases, their content releases?
Well, that's what I would assume, because it's always better to have the person who wrote the code actually bug fixing the code, and that makes sense. But it also brings with it sort of a technical challenge, which a lot of large development houses have, that Team A might write something and add a new feature, which actually adds a bug with something Team B did last week, and you not realize because you're adding features so fast. So they need to consider at what speed they add features to the game, and always come back to that stable every now and then to confirm that, hey, at this point, every bit of code is clean, every bit of code is safe, and then we'll go back to adding more features. Because you do end up with a runaway situation, like we've both commented on Oxygen Not Included, where teams just keep adding features and nobody actually gets around to fixing any bugs.
Or Prison Architect, where they keep churning out features and never actually fixing bugs until they do bug bash.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds like they're committing to agile.
Well, Oxygen Not Included they've just gone for final release, and now they're going back and doing the optimization part and the bugs fixing part.
Oh yeah, that's the next major content update, is bug fixing and optimization.
Which is stupid, and I much prefer the way of Woob does it, where they're constantly doing bug fixing and optimizations. So yeah,
it's actually funny because they're committed to fixing the the autosave thing, which powers
which broke everything. Yep.
Yeah, they're committed to fixing that for the next release.
It's already fixed in theory in a
mod actually fixed it.
Yeah, beta.
I think it fixed it in a very crude way. It probably just deselects whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't start the save function until you let go of the mouse.
Right.
Crude fixes. Yeah, not elegant ones. So back to Factorio. The plan is that they're going to start splitting the release cycle up. We're going to have a lot more releases, and hopefully a lot more features added quicker. They've been considering it for a long time with the GUIs. They really need to do a quick iteration and receive a lot of fast feedback about the changes, because we all looked at the GUI stuff Friday Facts 260-ish, 240-ish, and gave our feedback back then. And then we've seen some of it, but we still haven't seen the character screen, which is probably one of the most important ones. And the blueprint screen, which is, I would definitely say, probably the most important GUI there is.
Probably. Given the state of the blueprint library and the infamy around it, I suspect it's never going to...
Look, I'm really hoping that they add enough features that it actually becomes more of a library rather than a collection. And it's easier to navigate, because
smattering of stuff.
Yeah, I honestly don't save blueprints 9 times out of 10, because the hassle of trying to find the right blueprint is always a giant hassle. And
all about your icon setup.
Yeah, even then, the icon setup doesn't really help that much. If I can actually have like a Windows Explorer view where I can actually name something, and more importantly, I had somebody comment this, I don't know when, but I'd really like to have like a credits by, I can have a blah blah blueprint made by JD, or Mojo's blueprint, Mojo's train blueprints made by Mojo, so you can actually tag the original creator, and then when they export their blueprint library, it retains that player data. So it was like that player made that blueprint. So you can actually track down who made the original blueprint if you want updates to a blueprint. Because like your train blueprints are infamous. They're great. They're used here, there, and everywhere. But a lot of people don't even know where they got them from, because they got them from a person who got them from person,
someone,
who got
from
them
someone,
person,
from someone.
on a multiplayer map, and they don't know where to get the later versions.
It's also the other way around, is that it means you know who to blame for making bad blueprints.
Yes, definitely. Right? I can then yell at somebody when they make a really shitty blueprint.
Yep, it does also beg the question. So if someone takes mine and then modifies it slightly, like adds another blueprint to it, does that mean that they become the owner?
Look, I think the answer is if you put something down and then re-blueprint it as a fresh blueprint item, going back to the old 15 ways of doing it, where you actually had to make a blueprint item, then yeah, in theory you would have a new person because they've copied it off the ground. But
the blueprint thing's still an item. They just took away the crafting requirement.
Yeah, but if you're physically putting down a blueprint and then making a new blueprint of that, then obviously yes, you could have your name as the creator and tagged as.
Oh yeah, that would delete all of the data related.
Yeah.
What I was thinking was that if I take, say, a book and then someone puts some other blueprint in it, does it retain the name?
Well, it would retain the name for your items in the book, and then retain their name for their items.
For their items.
Right. By all means, if somebody goes into a blueprint and deletes like the signals out of the blueprint, or in the case of train tracks, like deletes the power poles out of it, whose name does it have then? And
yeah, that's the next. Also begs that question.
That I don't know. Falls into a grey area. It's made by Mojo and JD because JD modified it. I don't know.
Created by, last edited by.
Yeah, maybe that's probably the best way of handling it.
Oh dear, feature creep.
Yeah, it is a feature creep, but like it's like Blueprint Library is one of those things that it could be so much better than what we have. What we have is great, don't get me wrong, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're planning on doing lots of small iterations. It also means that they're hoping to save a lot of time rather than like doing a big feature and then it not hitting the base code and therefore players don't get to play with it. When it finally does, they have to spend extra time reorientating themselves with code that they might have written 6 months ago. And I know exactly how that feels. I'm sure you do as well. I've done work in Excel and here, there, and everywhere where I haven't looked at it for 6 months. Then I've got to go bug fix something. I'm like, how the hell did I code this in the first place? And yeah, it takes a while sometimes. So yeah, on top of that, development work, creating a new feature, new GUI, is generally a long-term creative process. New systems have to be created out of pure thought matter. Ideas and implementation have to be evaluated and determined. And it also involves a lot of background processing, i.e. sitting around thinking about it and letting it like brew in the back of your mind. Feature development always has the room for extension, i.e. feature creep, and it's hard to say it's finished, i.e. feature creep. It's also quite a subjective result, so sometimes it's hard to know if you did a good job until really the players get to play with it and people say yes, no, give feedback. Bug fixing, on the other hand, is very, very, I wouldn't say simple. It's very, very, it's like maths. It's very easy to know whether you got the right answer or not. If the bug goes away, you did a good job. If the bug doesn't go away, then you didn't do a good job. What
about the third, more realistic option? Is that bug went away and then 3 others appeared in its place?
It means you obviously fixed the original bug you were hunting down. You probably didn't implement your fix terribly well. It also means you've ensured that you can have a job next week. Right? So
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, bug fixing is very different. It's also it lets that development side of your brain rest, and you're just working on logical, read through the code, working out what's wrong, fix that problem. which is all coding, but they're two opposite sides of the brain. So they're really hoping it'll let the creative side rest whilst the logical side works on bug fixing, and then let the logical side rest whilst they go back to creative things of adding new features. What else do we have?
It sounds like a lot of stuff. That sounds like it's come straight out of a book.
Well, he does mention in 2 paragraphs' time. It does actually come out from a book. Let me see. So we've got bug fixes after sale will release in a short time frame. The flow of bugs will be less extreme because they're no longer doing major releases. There'll be less blocking, which is something we were speaking about version 15. We said it was, I think.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'd like to see stepping like we did from version 13 to 14, which was only like 2 months. More of that sort of business I'd like to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see, lots of little incremental things, and I'd really like to have my new sounds and my new graphics for artillery finally show up in the game. Finally. Yeah. But yeah,
finally.
In 14, 15, one of the two, they had a situation where like somebody would go add a feature and then nobody else would have much to work on, so everybody would branch off and do different features as well.
Yeah, that was legendary. Before leading up to 15 being released, was that everyone was where someone would start one project because they were bored and waiting for everything else to wrap up, and then they would go do that, and then everyone else would start finishing up, and they just keep leapfrogging forward like that.
Yeah.
They'd never all meet up, which is a serious management problem.
It is a management problem, but again, like Woob does what Woob does, and it's worked out well for them in the past. Not saying it's the best solution, but if they're doing lots of little incremental releases rather than going, okay, I've got nothing to work on, I'll go work on something new and a new feature, and then delaying the next update, you'd be like, it's fine. It's just not going to go in this update. It'll go in the one after, or the one after that, or it'll go into the update when it's done, whenever that happens. So, maybe somebody will get bored and work on Spidertron. Maybe.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, well, I keep bringing it up.
16.
I keep bringing it up. Maybe it'll happen. And yeah, on top of that, feedback will be more focused. So we'll be seeing as something probably in the Friday Facts. They'll be talking about. They'll be taking input, and then hopefully we'll see it within like a month or two in game, and
Hooray.
then we can actually have some feedback on it, and then they can iterate if they need to, like rotating the landfill 45 degrees. That was a minor fix, but made a big difference only because we got to see it beforehand and have comments.
I forgot to check to see if that was in game.
I've already been told it's in game.
Oh, there you go. I forgot to check earlier.
Unfortunately, I'm playing on a map that only has water in the starting zone, so I couldn't really test it out. Although I do have the demolition mod. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's late. It's not super late, just late. Where I can dig holes. So maybe
Canal?
No, not the canal one. The demolition one.
Sure.
The one that goes off with explosive. It's really cute. It sounds great when you're blowing up everything. Anyway, so Clonan started reading at the start of the year a book called Rolling Rocks Downhill, which sounds really, really easy. It's a book about software project management, which he enjoyed reading. And at the time, they were just wrapping up 17, so there was a lot of time to make the changes that they wanted to do this sort of quick iteration, have 2 teams working on one on bug fixing, one on new features, but now they have stabilized 17, and with it completed the traditional cycle of getting all the bugs out, calling it stable, and then going on to the next set of features that we're going to add to the next version. They have an opportunity to make a fresh approach, so that's what their plan is to be. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to to some sort of quick iterations, really.
And like more formal quick iterations, because we do get like incremental content stuff in the past, like with concrete changing over time was one example.
Yeah, look, there's been
a few other things like that.
There's been like some graphical changes that have happened over time. Concrete was one that they changed, and I think we read about it on Friday Fact, and then it happened like within a short amount of time. And then they spent a little bit of time with Concrete fixing the borders, I want to say.
Yeah, it was fixing the edging and the borders and making it blend, which is funny actually because it's now been replaced with, because this was the old concrete and it's now been replaced with the current concrete, which has hard borders. So they actually
Yeah.
got rid of the blending.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, look, they spent a lot of time fixing it and they were happy with it, and then, changed over to this version, which, I gotta say, looking at the picture up above between the concrete and the hazard concrete, I prefer it. I really, really do. I prefer the hard border around the edges. It seems a little bit more natural, if natural was a word. If concrete can be natural, yeah.
It gives a better boundary between the man-made and the natural, I guess you could say, in a more philosophical, magical way.
It looks like pavement where you have concrete and then you have a different border right up against the edge because the concrete's laid in a different way.
Also, the way it used to blend on the old version of concrete was kind of wonky.
It was wonky. It didn't work well around water edges. It definitely had some issues. Yes. But yeah, it means that hopefully we can see the GUI for the players, and then maybe they'll even partially release it and then get feedback in game and then re-release it or iterate on it. Same with the blueprint library. The blueprint library, and the character GUI. So not the crafting menu, not the, what do we got? We've got the crafting menu. We've got the logistics menu, which was going to be put out separate. And then we have the actual character GUI. So your E button is going to be split into 3 separate tabs, and that was one that players spent a lot of time looking at. So it was one they were
very keen to do.
Very, very keen to do, and was going to take a certain amount of, I don't know, finesse to get it done right. Same applies to the blueprint library. There were so many good suggestions, and we haven't heard anything about it for months. It was meant to be in 17. I know it got pushed back, and there was something else that was meant to hit 17 as far as the GUI was concerned, and it didn't come in. And I can't remember what it was, and I didn't get enough time to go look through previous photo facts to go read up what it was.
It can't have been that important.
It was, but I can't remember. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's it for photo facts 314. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As always, do hope you've enjoyed, and me and Mojo will catch you next week. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.